Once again, American leaders find themselves preparing for the possibility of a terrorist attack. This time, they believe al-Qaeda wants to take revenge for the killing of Osama bin Laden.
Extra security measures are being put in place both in America and overseas. Ephraim Graham has the story.
The anniversary of Osama bin Laden's death is quickly approaching. Intelligence chatter is up, and U.S. officials are concerned.
I think it's a major issue for al-Qaeda to do something to prove they're still alive, to do some fairly major event or series of attacks that prove that they're not down, they're not out.
President Obama has been briefed about possible al-Qaeda plans for retaliation for bin Laden's killing. Officials say they don't have specific information about an imminent strike, but al-Qaeda's top bomb maker, Ibrahim Hassan al-Asiri, has just resurfaced in Yemen. Al-Asiri is believed to be responsible for the so-called underwear bomb, as well as the bombs hidden in printers that al-Qaeda tried to ship to Chicago. U.S. intelligence says he could be building more bombs to use against the U.S.
It doesn't take a great number of people to do the kind of attack that we had on September 11th. That was less than 24 people. And it's clear that they have that number available in places like Yemen today.
Meanwhile, the White House is stepping up the fight against al-Qaeda in Yemen, giving the go-ahead for expanded drone attacks against targets there. Officials now say individuals who are planning attacks against the U.S. will be targeted, even if they can't be identified by name. That's a change in U.S. policy. The attacks will be carried out only with Yemeni government approval. All this comes as one State Department official tells the National Journal, quote, "The war on terror is over." The source said the Obama administration believes radical Muslims may see the Arab Spring as a new outlet for their Islamism. Ephraim Graham, CBN News.
Well, certainly we live in very uncertain times. Be in prayer for our president. Be in prayer for the leaders of Congress, for those in charge of our intelligence services, that they would have unusual wisdom. I think in this day and age, we need wisdom that is beyond human capacity. We need wisdom from on high. George Thomas has the rest of our top stories from the CBN Newsroom. George?
Thank you, Gordon. Hello, everyone. Well, the Labor Department has withdrawn a proposed rule for child labor on farms. The rule would have cut back on the work kids would be allowed to do on farms, but the plan came under heavy fire from supporters of farming in Congress and the private sector. The 85-page proposal would have forbidden kids under 16 from working with most power-driven machinery, grain storage, many types of livestock work, and more. Some call it absurd and an overreach by federal government that's gotten too big. The White House says it's committed to listening to what Americans have to say about proposed rules and regulations. The U.S. Air Force will no longer require that Bibles be put on a checklist of items in lodging facilities on bases. The Military Association of Atheists and Freethinkers complained about the Bibles. Bibles are placed in the Air Force rooms by the Gideons at no cost to the government. The Blaze reports after a legal review, Air Force officials ruled there is no requirement to have Bibles in the lodging checklist. Bible supporters say Air Force officials are bowing to political pressure to create a religion-free zone in the Air Force. The economic crisis in Spain is getting worse. Unemployment has reached 24% today. Spain is now in a recession. It's the fourth largest economy in the Eurozone and the 12th largest in the world. Standard & Poor's downgraded Spain's credit rating Thursday. The country is facing the possibility of even more downgrades in the future, even though its credit rating is already just 3 steps above junk. That could mean Spain would need more bailout loans. Coming up on the 700 Club, we'll have a look at how the economic crisis in Europe has hurt the continent's young people. Well, America's youngest generation seem to be experts when it comes to the latest technology, from cell phone apps and Facebook to iPads and iPhones. And as you can imagine, parents are finding it hard to keep up. As Charlene Israel reports, the technology gap could be placing many children at risk.
Tiffany Shortridge considers herself pretty technologically savvy. The 28-year-old mom uses technology on a regular basis, but she says even that isn't always enough when it comes to keeping up with her 9-year-old son, Anthony.
I use the internet and the computer pretty often because I go to school, but there are certain things that I don't even know exist that I'll hear him talk about, and I'll have to ask him what it is that he's talking about.
Tiffany is not alone in this. In a recent study, internet security company AVG found that almost half of today's children ages 6 through 9 use the internet. Yet 58% of their parents admit that they are not familiar with the sites their children use.
More kids can access the internet today than can ride a bike. You know, it's just there's statistics that just really point to the fact that young children growing up, all they know is access to the internet. You know, they can touch screens on an iPad or like device. You know, it's very easy for them to navigate.
But while children may be quick to pick up on the latest technological skills, many are too young to be aware of the threats that come along with it.
I think parents do need to be concerned about their children's online safety. Kids are growing up more in kind of a social arena where information is more public. You know, they don't necessarily know better.
Experts say the important thing is not to keep children from technology, but to make sure they aren't trying to navigate their way through it alone. For Tiffany and Anthony, it's about trust and some good old-fashioned rules.
There has to be a lot of trust between he and I that he knows what he's allowed to do on the internet, and that I believe that he's going to do it and that he's going to be honest with me about what he's dealing with. I don't let him have alone time like in his bedroom with the computer. If he's ever going to like search anything, like Google anything, he has to ask us.
Director of Plugged In Online, Bob Waliszewski, says that a little tough love can help keep your children safe.
Parents have to be in that world. They have to know where their kids are. And I think it's okay to snoop a little, too.
Tiffany says she appreciates how far technology has come and the opportunities that her children will have because of it. But she's also prepared to do what it takes to protect them from it.
I think that the days of like some people being into technology and some people not are kind of over. So just necessity requires that I keep up.
You can't not access the internet. It's really part of the fabric of their childhood. So let's just make sure that that's safe.
Charlene Israel, CBN News.
Gordon, I know you are very technologically savvy, but you've also got 2 young kids. Do you snoop on them?
Shh. All the various browsers have plenty of ways where you can track the history and look things up, and you know, they so far haven't figured out how to get around those. Terry, what do you do with yours?
Pray. Lots and lots of prayer.
But
I think it's
I'm
very
finding
hard.
I'm falling behind.
Yeah.
That
and
there
you're
are a lot
way more
of
technologically savvy than
there
I
are
am.
a lot of new things coming, and just the, you know, how much time do I have to put in to discover what's the new
And
stuff?
social networks make it a very pressured thing for young people to be engaged in all of that, and information available and open.
Well, for them, it's the
things.
hot new thing, and so the buzz goes out instantly. Try those, look at this, and that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, I think it's incredibly difficult to be raising children right now, and I don't have a fast and sure answer. I think what she said and what he said. You know, monitor it, watch them, but most of all, communicate with them what the peril is. I mean, you got to talk about it.
Big issue is communication, and then in that communication, communicate that you trust them. If you do that, I think that, and add, as Terry does, a good dose of prayer.
A memorial service for Chuck Colson will be held next month at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. Prison Fellowship Ministries is holding the memorial. Colson died last Saturday at the age of 80. The former aide to President Richard Nixon served time in prison after the Watergate scandal. He then started Prison Fellowship Ministries, reaching people for Christ all across the world. The May 16th service will be open to the public and streamed live on the cathedral's website. Operation Blessing is working to make sure vulnerable children and families are protected from malaria. Every 30 seconds, a child under the age of 5 dies from malaria in sub-Saharan Africa. On Wednesday, World Malaria Day was celebrated to bring awareness to the deadly disease. Operation Blessing teams distributed bed nets to more than 100 families in a small village in Niger. The nets provide a safe barrier between the families and the malaria-carrying mosquitoes. You can find out more about Operation Blessing by going to their website at ob.org.